The fluorescent lights in the grocery store flickered overhead, buzzing like they were irritated by his presence. Ethan stood there gripping a single pack of diapers, his knuckles pale from the pressure. His wallet held only one crumpled dollar bill and some coins he'd scraped from the couch earlier that morning. His daughter, Emma, barely 1 year old, needed diapers more than he needed dignity today. He swallowed hard as he glanced back toward the automatic doors, half expecting his ex-wife to walk in and laugh at the sight of him, once a hopeful husband with big dreams, now a broke single dad struggling to get by. The divorce had taken everything, his savings, his home, and nearly his spirit. But Emma's smile always glued the broken pieces together for just one more day. If this doesn't cover it, he whispered to himself, I'll just put them back. He stepped up to the cashier, a young teen who looked exhausted and uninterested in the world around her. That'll be $12.49, she said flatly. Ethan's heart dropped. He emptied his pockets onto the counter. Coins clattered loudly, drawing unwanted attention. His face burned with embarrassment as he counted out every cent. $10.92, he finished, voice cracking. I thought I had more. The cashier frowned, shrugged apologetically. I'm sorry, sir, I can't sell it for less. His shoulders caved inward as if someone had punched him. He opened his mouth to say something, anything, but humiliation stole his voice. He reached for the diapers with the intention of returning them to the shelf. Then a warm voice, deep and controlled, cut through his misery. I've got the rest. Ethan froze. Slowly he turned. Behind him stood a tall, impeccably dressed man with sleek, silver streaks in his hair and a presence that radiated authority and silence at the same time. His expression held a mix of loneliness and kindness, something fragile beneath the expensive suit. You don't have to, Ethan began. I insist, the man interrupted gently, placing a crisp bill on the counter. The cashier took it quickly and handed Ethan his receipt. Ethan clutched the diapers to his chest like a life raft. Thank you, really. I'll pay you back someday. No need, the man replied. Some moments are too important to fail because of a few missing dollars. His voice held a hint of something deeper, regret, perhaps. Ethan, still stunned, nodded. My name's Ethan Alexander, the man introduced, offering a small but genuine smile. And that must be Emma. Ethan followed the man's gaze to the baby strapped to his chest in a worn carrier. Emma sucked her thumb and gave a shy little laugh that melted tension from the air. She's my whole world, Ethan said. She should be, Alexander replied quietly, his eyes darkening with sorrow. I once knew that feeling. Before Ethan could ask more, Alexander gestured toward the exit. Walk with me. They stepped outside into the crisp air. The parking lot was nearly empty, just a few cars gleaming under the streetlights. Ethan realized how awkward it seemed, this meeting of two strangers from opposite worlds. Let me guess, he tried joking, you're one of those undercover millionaires who goes around helping the helpless. Alexander chuckled softly. Close. Billionaire, actually. Ethan blinked. He had expected a polite laugh, maybe a shake of the head, not a confession. You're serious. Alexander looked out toward the street, expression tightened by old wounds. Wealth doesn't erase loneliness. It often creates more of it. Yeah, well, poverty isn't much better, Ethan mumbled. Alexander glanced at him for a long moment. What's your story, Ethan? Ethan almost laughed. What wasn't his story? But the words found their way out anyway. My ex-wife decided she wanted a fresh start. That fresh start didn't include me or Emma. I lost my job around the same time. I've been working part-time gigs since, trying to make sure Emma never feels like she's missing anything. And what about you? Alexander asked. What do you feel like you're missing? Ethan stared at the concrete beneath his worn shoes. Hope. It's getting harder to find it. Alexander nodded slowly, as though every sentence landed somewhere personal inside him. I had a daughter once, he finally said. Adopted. She was the light of my life. But my wife, she didn't want children. She left, and in the custody battle His voice cracked. Ethan had never seen a billionaire look so painfully human. I lost her too, Alexander finished. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, just honest. Two fathers, different worlds, same heartbreak. She's still out there, Ethan said softly. Maybe she's waiting for you. Alexander's eyes shimmered. Maybe. Emma reached out toward him with her tiny hands, babbling happily. Alexander stared at the little fingers waving in the air, unsure but hopeful. He placed one finger in her hand, and she gripped tightly. A smile tugged at his lips, sincere and warm. You're good with her, Ethan said. I miss being good with someone, Alexander replied. Ethan hesitated before offering, if you ever want, you can visit us. Emma loves making new friends. Alexander looked surprised. You'd trust me, after barely knowing me, you helped me when you didn't have to, Ethan answered. Seems like someone worth trusting. The billionaire exhaled, a weight lifting from his shoulders. I'd like that. They exchanged numbers before parting ways. Ethan couldn't explain it, but the encounter felt like the first spark of hope he'd had in a long time. Weeks turned into months, and Alexander became a quiet, steady presence in their lives. He attended Emma's first steps in the small apartment living room. He brought groceries not with charity, but as a dinner guest eager to contribute. They talked about life, regrets, and dreams long buried. One evening, after bedtime stories and scattered baby toys, Alexander turned to Ethan with a nervousness no billionaire should ever feel. I have a proposal, he began. Ethan stiffened. If this is about money. It is, Alexander admitted. But not in the way you think. He paused, choosing each word carefully. I want to start a company, something that builds people up instead of tearing them apart. And I want you to run it with me. Ethan laughed in disbelief. Me, I'm a nobody. You're a father who sacrifices everything for his child, Alexander said firmly. You're exactly who the world needs in leadership. Ethan's eyes burned. Why me? Alexander stepped closer, his voice soft but sure. Because the day I saw you at that register, you reminded me of who I used to be, before I let success hollow me out. Ethan swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Alexander whispered. Let's both have something to hope for again. Emma stirred in her crib, her tiny presence once again pulling everything together. Ethan extended his hand, unsure but ready. Yes. Alexander shook it with a smile that reached his soul. Then this is the beginning of better days. As the night deepened around them, the two unlikely friends sat side by side, watching over a sleeping child who had unknowingly stitched two broken hearts into a family. Sometimes, a single whispered gesture in a grocery store is all it takes for everything to change.